2013, right after high school. Right after high school, I got into crypto, actually, 2013.
Okay.
And as most people, how I got introduced to crypto, my friend was buying some stuff on the black market.
Yeah. Yes.
And he's like, yeah, look, Bitcoin, and you could do this. And then at the time, I had like this weird wallet on my PC. I don't even remember the name.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, I don't remember what it was worth. Maybe like $100, $120 per Bitcoin.
For Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, per Bitcoin. And he actually showed me how to mine Bitcoin back then. And then he showed me how to mine all these random shit coins, actually.
Can you explain, because I've always wanted to answer back then, what did Bitcoin mining look like and consist of? Like, could you do it with did you have to have like a super crazy powerful computer, or what did it look like?
No, I had an old ass compact that I bought at like at Circuit City.
Are you shitting me?
Pause. He just said he had a compact. Dude, when is the last time you heard that, Mikey?
Does that brand still exist? They can't exist anymore.
I don't know, man.
Compact is when I was playing like Myst on my fucking PC before the
probably
internet
passed
even
up the
exists.
Calprint gateway to get that one.
The Calprint gateway. Jeez, the old gateway. Didn't Gateway turn into Dell? Does Gateway got bought by Dell? Yeah. So, okay. So you had an old ass compact and you could mine Bitcoin. Like, what did that look like? You just run a program?
Oh, yeah. So he sent me this file, and nowadays that would be super sketchy, but back then I'm like, let's run this file.
I don't know.
I'm running this file.
Just a random executable.
Yeah, random executable. And then he's like, yeah, check the pool. You know, I joined some kind of mining pool, and I'm looking, and like, boom, you know, my coins are growing, like Bitcoin and like this other coin that I had. It wasn't like, for Bitcoin, it wasn't like an extremely substantial amount, but the other coin that I was getting actually was mining very, very fast, and I was converting it. And the way I was converting it, actually, I was just sending it to him, and he was giving me Bitcoin for it. Because back then, for me, exchanges weren't as prevalent. You know, I was still young. I didn't realize what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's when I first discovered crypto, and then you know, actually, I was still playing RuneScape, so I was still selling RuneScape gold, and I actually started selling it for crypto. So I was kind of stacking Bitcoin a little bit.
Right.
Here and there.
Look at you. Look at you stacking.
I was stacking some Bitcoin, and then an opportunity presented itself in 2015. And this is a little more of a gray area, I would say, nowadays. Well, actually, no, now with the regulations, it's a little more just straightforward, but back then it was more of a gray area.
Yeah.
And I got into CSGO gambling.
Okay. I didn't even know this was a thing, bro. So you're going to have to describe that to me too.
Actually, that was one of the first websites to pop up. It's pretty much iGaming. So Counter-Strike, if you're familiar with the game, has tradable skins.
Yeah.
And they have monetary value. So what you would do is you would just take the API from the websites that display data on the pricing that they take from all the trades from Steam itself.
Yeah.
And then you would just, you know, input it to your website, and that's how you generate the prices. People would be able to put their skins into a pool, and then one person would win based on a random number generator.
Gotcha. So random CS:GO. Were you into that game hardcore, or?
CS:GO, yes, I was.
So really do you know gaming influencers named Zeus? Zeus. He what I don't know, man. He was on our show, and he has an NFT where he's launching an esports game with an NFT. Their mint didn't go so great. Gonna try to link back up with him, but apparently he won the CS:GO World Champion multiple times. So
I know Zeus. I think he was on Navi, if I'm not mistaken.
He might have been. If you want to meet a cool CS:GO dude, I can link you up in DMs. He's super cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
I still got a couple buddies that are in the semi-pro CS:GO scene, because it's kind of hard to be in the pro scene nowadays. But I still have some
So go ahead.
I would just say probably in like top 100.
Wow. Wow, that's
So
awesome.
okay, because considering there's like thousands and thousands of teams.
Yeah. I think he played for a lot of the top teams and created multiple teams. So it seems like there's a pattern here. You're figuring out the internet, you're snacking Bitcoin, but you're yet in another game figuring out how to monetize gaming, which is really interesting to me. So did you turn this CSGO opportunity into a business? What did that look like? And then what was after that?
Me and my buddy actually got screwed over
Okay.
by somebody else that I wanted to bring on as well. They
Okay.
kind of took the idea and without telling us, they kind of started doing it on their own after I got into the process, which was unfortunate, but it is what it is. We were running our website and everything's going good. The money was okay.
Right.
And then we realized, look, I'm like, yo, we could do better. We could do better than this. And somebody that I was selling like my CSGO skins to actually on God, what's that marketplace? Player auctions.
Okay.
If you know player auctions.
I have not heard of it.
No.
Yeah, it's just a marketplace to buy and sell accounts and various other things.
Gotcha.
I was just selling him some of my CS:GO keys and skins, and I found out that he's a developer.
Okay.
And I found out that he was actually looking to launch his own website, but it kind of failed. And I'm like, look, why don't we just work together? I'm like, one, there's no upfront cost for a dev because now he's on the team. There's no like really designer expenses because we knew a designer. And that was that. We're like, look, that's really all it takes. And this was still early on. So we partnered with a few influencers. We did a few other things and we found out a way to launch a website and a really, really quality one that was pushing the boundaries at the time without any really upfront costs.
Okay.
And it was doing very well. I can say that within the first 3 months, we had over 3 million unique people use our
Wow. Yeah, that's doing pretty well.
Dang.
And then once again, some drama unfolded. There were some egos thrown around and people, taking things the wrong way and not actually thinking clearly before they acted upon certain things. And unfortunately, I was still young and, my best friend who was in it too was still very young. And we didn't really do everything, I would say, by the book in terms of we're doing it with our friends. So there were no contracts set in place. There were no, guidelines to go by. And what ended up happening was our dev friend actually just ended up pulling the plug. And it really sucked because to build out a platform like this took about 8 months. So it's not just like overnight we can prop something up. We put up coming back soon page because still own the domain and everything, and we were in the process of rebuilding it, and our dev who was working on it 3.5 months in, we had contracts this time, by the way, ran away with all the code, ran away with everything. So contracts in place. The problem was I'm in the United States. He's somewhere in Finland. I don't even know if he gave me a real address. I couldn't find him. And that was that. And then boom, 3.5 months gone again. And then we tried to launch it again, and it was just like very hit after hit after hit after hit. Like things just kept going wrong and wrong and wrong and wrong, left and right.
Right.
And in hindsight, I should have kept pushing through because if I did, I'd be in a very different place right now. But 2020 hindsight. Learned a lot of valuable life lessons, not just business lessons. And yeah, I mean, all in all, I did okay with Bitcoin. I had a substantial amount. I actually purchased a car for 90 Bitcoin.
Jeez.
A regular
that has to
Mercedes
hurt a
for
little
90
bit.
Bitcoin, for 90 Bitcoin. And, you know, obviously, but you can argue the fact of like, I didn't know Bitcoin was going to go up.
Yeah.
But
No.
then again, 6 months later, Bitcoin skyrocketed to like
Yeah.
8K.
Yeah.
So, you know, it in
Oh my
hindsight, it hurts.
gosh.
My friends
Yeah.
used to rank on me. They're like, bro, like, you know, you could have bought 4 Ferraris.
Right.
And I'm like, I mean, I could have, but like, who knew at the end of the day?
So real quick, before we go, because the Bitcoin thing is interesting, but since we're on topic, like we usually like to tell your whole story and then we'll start asking questions, but I don't want to miss the moment, right? You really,
we got some things.
You really just gave us a really interesting story about you are starting this business with CSGO. You're starting it with your friends, right? You're not doing it by the book. And then you literally ended that whole, let's say the last 5 minutes with, I learned a lot of life lessons and I'd be in a different place if I did things differently. Please, can you talk to us about that? What were the lessons? What if you kept on pushing through, what would have you done differently?
Okay. The life lessons are more so of, be careful who you trust, even if they're your friends, especially going into business. Friendship and business doesn't always mix, but you know, some people have the saying like you should never go into business with family or friends, and that's not always necessarily true.
Right.
I think you should just pick wisely. And I think now from that experience, I learned to watch out for a lot of red flags in people.
Okay.
Based on their actions, you know, like actions speak louder than words do. So,
Right.
you know, somebody can keep doing bad things or, you know, not do you right. They can keep apologizing as much as they want, but doesn't mean their actions are going to change.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. Another thing is just have paperwork for everything. Like nowadays, it's just like 100% by the book.
Keeps it
friend,
cleaner.
no
Keeps
friend,
it
doesn't matter, you know,
Right.
IRS, tax code, everything done properly. That way, no one's going to get screwed in the end.
Right.
You might have some bitter blood, like you bitter taste in your mouth if things don't go right. But at the end of the day, it's what's fair by everybody.
Yes. Because you're in this gray world with friends thinking, because think about the amount of times that's not written down on the paper where I say something and you interpret it slightly differently. And I think we're all good, right? But in reality, we're so far apart, right?
Yeah. And in the midst of all this, actually, like I was saying, it was a gray area, but we were actually going to do everything by the book.
Yeah.
Because things started like coming out and people were like, okay, well, this is a gray area. It needs to be more regulated. So we were actually taking the initiative to like go to Costa Rica, go to Malta. We were like exploring all these countries to actually get a license to do all of this. And we were like in the middle of it all. We hired lawyers.
Oh, yeah.
Like we did everything. I remember like I put a 5K retainer down and everything for like the best lawyers you could possibly find. And then just in the middle of it all, just boom.
Blew up.
Yeah.
Interesting.
As for the perseverance thing, if I could go back and do it differently, I would not have given up as easily. I mean, it's easy to say that now. And anybody that's done anything, it really does get demotivating after you do something so much and you keep failing and failing and failing and failing and failing. But something I learned from failing so many times, one in life and RuneScape and, you know, just business, if you keep pushing through,
right,
from all the lessons you learned, and just add them all up, there is a recipe for success.
Yep.
So it might not be like the first try or the second try or even the fifth try, but you will figure it out as long as you keep going.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? Because we've had tons of people on this show. They say a lot of similar things. I think another, and I just love your thoughts on what my opinion is. I think another byproduct of that too is there's just not a lot of people that like being uncomfortable and feeling pain. So if you do it long enough, you kind of outlast everybody. Like let's use this scenario right now, right? Dude, all of the quote unquote influencers and media people, there's a good majority of them that are gone. But we've, continued to grind. And fortunately, we've positioned ourselves because our content's different than making money. But I think that's another way, right? That's another way that not giving up benefits you. What do you think?
100%. 100%. And speaking on that, like I actually personally know a few NFT crypto influencers that like made amazing content, and they made great content, and they were pushing it out, and they gave up because either not enough views or not enough traction on their video products, engagement.
Yeah.
And they just gave up. And like it's sad to see, because they actually gave good insight and good feedback and good analytics and all of that. And it was just
but so some of that though is there are a lot of people who expect to be really good at something instantly, and that's just simply not the way the world works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, how were you at English when you first started, right? You know what I mean?
Didn't exist.
Like, and you could have done the same thing. And by the way, there are people who immigrate to any country, by the way, and they're just like, I don't want to do it. It's too much work to learn a new language. And then they're stuck, right? And so it's like you have to go through it. It's just part of the process. And I mean, Tyrion Lannister said it well in Game of Thrones, and he's like, when you start over, you're not starting from zero, you're starting from experience. And that is such a masterful way to say that, because it's like you're always growing, you're always building on what you've already learned. And that's a huge, huge advantage over people who have not taken a single step and have learned nothing.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
100% agree. I mean, people get complacent. Like you go a couple miles in, and it's predominantly Hispanic. But the thing is, a lot of them don't take the time to learn English, and not because they don't care to learn English. It's because everyone in their community speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
And if they go to a store, if they go to the gas station, the primary language is Spanish.
Right.
I will go there and they'll speak to me in Spanish.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's because, their surroundings.
Yeah.
And perfectly, that's fine. People are comfortable. My fiance is Cuban. And I'm learning Spanish myself.
You probably have to at this point, bro.
But it's the same thing. Like living in a different city here in Miami was like Sunny Isles, which is like predominantly Russian.
Right.
Russian community, they commingle with each other, and they don't have to learn English. And it goes the same, I guess, everywhere.
Yeah, and then honestly, you could take that into, which is another life lesson that it gets repeated multiple times on the show, is people travel in tribes and they do what's comfortable, right? Learning a new language is not comfortable, even when you're in a country where the language that you need to learn is the primary language, right? But if you surround yourself in communities of people, it is comfortable. And just, getting outside your comfort zone, there's just not enough to be said about how great it is to benefit your life, man.